Hello everybody, how you doing? Just wanted to do a couple of videos on authority and jurisdiction. And the reason why I wanted to do these is because there's a lot of misinformation going around, and a lot of people are believing a lot of lies about authority, who has authority over who, and jurisdiction, who has jurisdiction over what. So I just wanted to come up with a little breakdown of what authority and jurisdiction is. So the first video is going to be dealing with authority. Exactly what is authority? Where does it come from? How does somebody get it? Who has it? And what are its limitations? When we go to dictionary.com and we look up the word authority, we get several different definitions of it. As a noun, it is the power to determine, adjudicate, or otherwise settle issues or disputes. Jurisdiction, the right to control, command, or determine. A power or right delegated or given, otherwise known as authorization. A person or body of persons in whom authority is vested as a governmental agency. So you can see here you have personal authority, jurisdictional authority, and then legal or governmental authority. So as we just saw, there are four types of authority. You have individual authority, then you have legal authority, then you have legislative authority, and then of course you have Almighty God's authority. Now if I were to ask you to come up with a tier or a authority structure, you would probably come up with something that lists the authorities this way. You would have Almighty God's authority on top, then you would have legislative authority, then you would have legal authority, and then you would have individual authority, with Almighty God being the top authority, and then the government, and then the legal, and then the individual's authority would be dead last. Well, that would be incorrect. Here is what the real authority structure looks like. You have Almighty God on top, and then you have Almighty God giving his authority to the individual. Just so we're clear, Almighty God does not force or make anyone, any human being, do anything. He refuses to enact or enforce his authority on his creation until after the man has died. He does this so that he can rightly, justly, and fairly judge the man or the individual. That way, everything that the individual does, he cannot say to Almighty God, his judge, say, well, you made me do this. No. Almighty God can then say, I gave you the authority to make your own decisions. And no one made you to do anything. You chose to do it. Now, as you will see, the individual, we as individuals give the legislative or the legal authorities their authority, and the legislative authorities give the legal or legal system its authority, or they write the laws. The legislature writes the laws. So you have Almighty God, the individual, the legislative, and the legal. If you doubt this, all we have to do is go back to and look at the Declaration of Independence. So let's do that. What we have here is the Declaration of Independence. Now, I'm kind of zoomed in on the screen so that you all can read the print. I've also included a link to this page in the description of this video. And what you all need to understand and remember, because we seem to have forgotten it and we seem to have quit teaching it in school, that the Declaration of Independence is the founding document of the United States of America. It was ratified on July 4th, 1776, and it was the first act that the Continental Congress did as a nation. It is our statement of faith, our statement of purpose for our country, these United States of America, which is not a democracy, it is a republic. But that's for another discussion. This document, which was written and ratified on July 4, 1776, was created 11 years before the Constitution of the United States. So before the Constitution, which is the laws of the land, was made, this was made. This is the founding of our country. This is what our country is all about. Now, we see right here that it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. So you remember that everyone's equal. There's no one above, there's no one below. Okay? That they are endowed by their creator. Now, that's a big word, endowed. So, wait a minute, hold on here. We got to move the camera over a little bit here. There we go. They are endowed by their creator. So let's see what the word endowed means, shall we? Back at dictionary.com, we see endow it can be a payment fund or source of income, an endowment, or as a verb, to furnish, as with some talent, faculty, or quality, equip. So, what endowed means in the Declaration of Independence is this, that we are equipped. Who are we equipped by? By their Creator, Almighty God. All men are equipped by Almighty God with what? What are we equipped with? Certain, gotta move the camera again, certain unalienable rights. Unalienable. That's another big word. Let's see what unalienable means. Now, if you go to dictionary.com and type in unalienable, it's going to take you to inalienable. It's the same thing. It's just said differently. It's the same word. And what does that mean? It means not alienable, not transferable to another, or capable of being repudiated. Well, that's another big word too. So let's see what repudiated means. Repudiate as a verb means to reject as having no authority or binding force, to cast off or disown, to reject with disapproval or condemnation, to reject with denial, to refuse to acknowledge. So, what inalienable means is that an inalienable right cannot be rejected as having no authority or binding force. It cannot be cast off or disowned. It cannot be rejected with disapproval or condemnation, and it cannot be rejected with denial, and it cannot, or someone cannot, refuse to acknowledge it. What cannot be cast off? What cannot be repudiated? Why, the God-given rights. And what rights are those? That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember, these rights are endowed, given equipped to all men by their creator. So it's given to anyone and everyone. Now, to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving, oh, that's a big word. Let's see what deriving means. To derive means to receive or obtain from a source or origin, to trace from a source or origin, to reach or obtain by reasoning, deduce, infer. What it means is to get from, to come from a source or origin, originate, as another verb, derived, deriving, to come from a source or origin, originate. What originates? Their just powers. Whose powers? The government's just powers. Governments are instituted among men, deriving their, who's there? The government's just powers from the consent. Another big word. Let's look that up. Here we see consent as a verb means to permit, approve, or agree, comply, or yield. To agree in sentiment, opinion, etc. Be in harmony. As a noun, it means permission, approval, or agreement, compliance, acquiescence, agreement in sentiment, opinion, and a course of action, etc. Accord, concord, harmony. Basically, consent means agreement. You are allowing and you are saying, yes, they can do this. So they get their just powers from the agreement or consent of who? The governed. That's you and us. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, what ends? Well, the ends of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is the right, not only our personal right, but our endowed by the Creator right, empowered by the Creator, given by the Creator right. Of who? The people, or the governed, or the ones who give the governments their authority, to alter or abolish it. What is the it that we are altering or abolishing? Why, it is the government. And to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles as to organize its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. What that means, safety and happiness, their safety to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So what we have here, what you just saw and read in the Declaration of Independence is Almighty God, Creator, Almighty God, creates every individual equally, and every equally created individual is endowed, given, empowered, emboldened by their Creator the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we, as individuals, come together and create a government, the legislative and the legal, and give the legislative and the legal the authority to institute laws that preserve our God-given rights, our God-given, empowered, endowed, non-refutable, unrefutable, undeniable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if the legislative and the legal government or authority refuses to comply with those rights or tries to remove the individual's rights, then we as individuals have the right to remove said government. This is number 1, video number 1. Number 2 and 3 and so on shall follow. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.